Either I'm deaf or I'm out of bullets.
Don't trust us, we have no clue as to what we're doing.
None whatsoever.
We're not improving week on week, Iain.
Well, we just don't learn.
How are your sea legs, young mutant?
Harsh. Not too bad, I guess.
Good.
How are you this week?
I'm okay. I enjoyed this episode. It's a fish out of water episode, I'd suggest.
I'd say it's my favourite episode so far.
Out of 3.
Yes. It's in the top 3.
A bold statement.
Yeah.
I think I should say before we get into the episode itself, I'd previously mentioned, perhaps in the first episode, that Sledge doesn't normally get involved with women. He's not that type of character. But this sort of does contradict what I've said.
Completely.
Okay, when I say sort of, I mean entirely contradicts.
It does.
In my defence, however, this is obviously a parody, or this episode has been inspired by the 1985 Harrison Ford movie Witless.
Yeah, well, just a year earlier.
So this relationship was mimicking the characters and the plot in that movie. So it's not necessarily a typical Hammer.
Yeah, it's not really Sledge's character that's been developed here.
No. But I think, as we'll discuss, I enjoyed seeing that side of him as well. I think it does bring another dimension to a character that could easily become very one-dimensional and quite obvious week on week.
Yeah, if they played everything for laughs at the same level, you would find it monotonous.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a summary for us this week, Iain?
I do, and hopefully it will be an improvement on the first 2, but I can't promise anything.
I'm sure it will. Crack on.
In Witless, Sledge is forced into hiding when a mafia boss puts out a contract on him in a bid to bring a halt to recent drops in profits. When one of Hammer's colleagues tries to betray him for the reward money, Sledge escapes, but is left injured at the roadside. Found and cared for by a family from a religious community, Hammer tries to integrate into their way of life as best he can, but when word of his whereabouts gets out, a final showdown ensues, with Sledge's survival on the line.
Thank you for that, Iain. We begin at a house of a mob boss, a don.
We do. The credits play in the usual fashion, and we are at, it looks like a country home, well, maybe in the suburbs or further beyond.
We have the Godfather-esque Don Philip, who quickly orders the accountant's death when he is told that profits are down 75%.
Yeah, business has dropped significantly, and the accountant is to be killed to show him that it's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm. I think the accountant begs for mercy and...
He blames Sledgehammer. He says that he's single-handedly putting a stop to crime in this city.
So this is interesting. And last week we had a similar hint at it. If you remember when Hammer was suspended,
yeah,
crime seemed to run riot.
It seems that he's, the Batman type figure of this city.
Yeah, I think what we're finding here is that although we watch this buffoon who bumbles around and perhaps cuts crime accidentally in a lot of cases, he does seem to be effective.
It certainly does seem that way.
So the Don finds out about this Sledgehammer, who is putting a stop to his profits, his business, or certainly reducing them. And when he hears this news, what does he do?
He's furious. He throws his cat out the window.
Now this happens a couple of times, but there is a payback later on.
There is. And he makes a proclamation.
I want a contract on this Sledgehammer's life. $1 million. $1 million on anyone who can lord a hammer on Hammer.
$1 million? That's a little high.
A special this week only.
But every hitman in the city will be taking shots at him.
Hey, that'll create a sense of competition. That's healthy. That's American. I want this Sledgehammer for the rest of his life to be dead.
For the rest of his life to be dead.
I like that line. In fact, I like the bit about it being a special as well.
We head over to Sledge's house and he's in bed, but he's not alone.
No, he's had a dream about his gun, so he's telling the gun in the morning what happened in the dream.
Not only does he sleep with Gunny, his amigo, he showers with it as well.
In the holster, yep.
As he is cleaning himself, what happens?
Well, somebody, presumably a hitman, breaks into the apartment.
Mm-hmm. Hammer comes out of the shower, so the hitman hides himself in a cupboard
Yeah, if he's here to kill him, then why does he need to hide?
to catch him unaware.
I guess maybe he's going to surprise him.
He makes a dreadful decision.
Yeah, Hammer ends up doing a bit of target practice on the door of the cupboard.
We've seen that before. Hammer likes to fire off a few rounds at
He
at
does
home.
in his house.
He shoots at the cupboard, or he shoots at the target, which is on the cupboard door, and we hear the gasp and the fall of the body. Now, this is the only time in Sledgehammer,
This is the only time he shoots anybody.
and it's off camera, and it was an accident.
And we do hear gasping breaths as Sledge leaves, so he's not killed the man.
No, I think that's his dying, his death throes. I think that's
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think he survives miraculously.
No, I think he's pummeled about 3 bullets into his body at close range from a magnum. I don't think you're surviving that at all. I mean, we see later on in this episode as well, he's not the only person to die.
No, that's true.
We'll get to that. We have a little sort of montage.
Yeah, we start off at a street vendor. Hammer's complaining about the newspapers being too big these days, too many supplements, and then he buys it anyway.
Yep, we see a hitman attempt to murder him, not in the most effective way, by throwing a knife.
Which just hits the newspaper.
Yep, so no luck there, or lucky for Sledge. We're next at a diner. He's grabbing a coffee in the morning.
Yeah, but he's saved by his own bizarre clumsiness here because his drink is poisoned, but as he checks the time on his watch, he accidentally pours the coffee away.
Not just poisoned, I think. It's like an acid, isn't it?
Yeah, corrosive. Yeah.
And then we have the moment I was talking about earlier. So he's at a set of traffic lights. 2 cars pull up left and right.
Yep, and they just shoot each other through his car.
Yeah, well, I think he goes to pick something up or change the station on the radio.
Yeah.
And they shoot, and kill each other. And they're quite obviously dead.
Yes. And then we go to the police department.
The precinct, yes. And everyone is shocked to see him enter.
Yep, they don't believe he's survived to get to work, essentially.
No. As he walks in, even one of the criminals who's being led away looks shocked and turns to gaze at him.
Yeah.
That's Alan Spencer.
Is it?
Yes.
Ah, dramatic introduction.
Uncredited cameo.
Exciting stuff.
The Row asks Hammer how he got there.
Yeah, he doesn't understand what all the fuss is about. So
Well,
obviously
firstly, doesn't understand the question. He says it's basic biology, his mother and his father. And
yeah, he gets into that, but he doesn't know that folk are trying to kill him. He obviously hasn't noticed the knife in his paper or the acid in his coffee. Well, he did notice that, but he thought it was just the coffee.
yeah, and Doro tells him about this mob contract, and we see it. It's a wanted poster which says
Dead or dead.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is quite a nice little play on what happened in the pilot episode with the mayor's daughter.
Precisely. We get into Trunk's office, Captain Trunk. And he tells Hammer it's no laughing matter. I mean, Hammer is playing, he's pretty cool with it.
Yeah, I don't think he believes he's vulnerable.
He doesn't appear concerned at all.
He's a bit sarcastic even, because Trunk tells him that there's already been an attempt on his life, according to the word in the street.
Yeah, but he says it's probably the Shriners.
He says, well, he sarcastically says, did they succeed?
I like it when he's playing it cool.
Yeah.
It pulls it off brilliant, does David.
He does.
And we've got a comic book. We've seen this a few times, I think. There literally is a comic book shenanigans where a stick of dynamite. I mean, we saw dynamite was used in the previous episode, the bomb in the clock shop.
Yes.
I mean, no one uses dynamite.
Even then.
Even then. But we see someone in the air vent above Trunk's office drop a stick of dynamite into the office, and what happens?
Well, there's a bit of slapstick between Trunk and Hammer as they each try to get the other to deal with it.
So they're trying to throw it out the window, but the window is bolted or locked shut, and it's some sort of safety glass.
Yeah.
So Hammer is picking up a chair and trying to smash the window. Dory is trying to get a word in edgeways.
Yeah, she wants the dynamite, she's got a plan, and they're not paying any attention to her, and Hammer is knocking away at the window trying to get the glass to break.
Dory eventually succeeds in extinguishing it. How does she do that?
Well, she gets her hands on the dynamite and just dunks it in the coffee that's there.
Hammer hasn't noticed this and continues, even though Trunk stopped and tells Hammer to stop, Hammer's in the zone.
Yeah, he smashes the window anyway.
Yep. And then feels a little bit sheepish when He finds out how easy it would have been to...
Well, he throws the dynamite out the window
Yes.
as well and waits for the explosion and it doesn't come. At which point, Dory literally spells out to him what happened.
Yeah.
Trunk's going to send Sledge out of town though because he's concerned about these attacks. He's got a police escort who's going to take him to a motel.
We're in the cop car with the escort, Officer Lenny.
Yeah, Sledge is harassed. He barely had time to pack his bazooka, he says.
Yeah, and we know that he uses one.
Yep, we've seen it before.
Mm-hmm. They discuss how tough life is.
Lenny's got a sad story.
Yeah, he's got 12 kids. He's barely got any money to put them through school.
He's about to lose his house. He's so hard up.
And what does this result in?
Well, he's decided that he's going to claim the reward by killing Hammer and delivering him to the Dawn.
So we have a struggle.
Yeah, and they scuffle and Hammer falls out of the car.
With his overnight bag.
Yes, and the cop drives off.
Yeah. I don't know what his plan is from now on because he has to assume that Hammer will inform on him. Let him...
Maybe he thinks he won't be believed.
Yeah,
Maybe they
possibly.
say Hammer went nuts, he started fighting with me and jumped out the car.
A little time passes and we see Hammer. He's lying unconscious in the grass and he's discovered by a father and daughter, Jacob and Isadora.
Yep, they look like they are part of a religious community. They're dressed kind of maybe Amish.
Yeah, Amish would be the type, the obvious, obviously, especially when you consider it's a witness parody.
Yes.
But I don't think they wanted to be too specific about that, certainly in the network.
Sure, I mean, you don't want to cause offence to people who never watch TV.
Precisely what Alan Spencer said. In any case, Jacob and Isadora decide to bring Hammer home to tend to him, to care for him.
To nurse him back to health.
Nurse him back to health, yeah. So we're in their home.
Well, first of all, they use a horse and cart to get him there.
Yeah.
Which is quite typical, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
An interesting change of pace for Hammer.
It certainly is. It's, for a start, the camera, the cinematography, it's very soft focused and a very relaxed feeling. Hammer seems relaxed, and I think it's actually a fantastic sort of counterpoint to the normal anarchy you would have in an episode of Sledgehammer. I think it does allow the character and the show to breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice. Isadora tends to Sledge as he starts to come round, and she's got some water on a cloth.
Yeah, old style techniques of caring for someone else. It's a community that does not use modern methods.
No, but she's about to tend to a cut or a graze and warns him it may sting a little.
Yeah, he doesn't like the stinging.
No, but Hammer, what does he say? That's okay, I can take it.
But he can't.
No, as soon as she touches him, he jumps up like a big baby.
He does.
Says it really hurts, and why did she believe him? But he wants to know who they are.
Where am I? Who are you people? Hey, haven't I seen you on oatmeal boxes?
We are simple folk, at peace with the earth.
Our only needs are to work and to be happy.
Oh, you're yuppies, right?
No, we are not yuppies. We are many notes. I be Jacob, and this be my daughter, Isadora.
Well, I'm Inspector Sledgehammer, and this be my gun.
We do not appreciate weapons in our house, stranger.
Are you kidding? What do you mean you don't appreciate weapons? What are you, commies or something?
An odd line that, what are you, commies or something? I mean, communists aren't renowned for not liking weapons.
No, I know, but I think that is Sledge's politics there. He thinks anyone who's not in favour of guns is a lefty, and the communists are as left as you get. So
Yeah.
that's just either that or it's because the guy's accent sounded Russian.
Yeah, I suppose. What do you know about the many notes he mentioned?
I know a little because I've done a little bit of research ahead of this podcast. I know that there is an old order of Mennonites, which presumably the Mennonites are, maybe the Mennonites are not easily offended. I don't know, but certainly their old order do behave in a way similar to old order Amish, but maybe slightly more liberal in terms of their adherence to old ways. But yeah, it seems to be that sort of community rather than maybe the Quakers that Sledge hints at with his reference to oats.
Yeah. So they're taking a risk then because they actually might watch TV and
They
be
might
offended.
and be offended, but maybe that's just the compromise that they made.
Okay. Maybe there's not as many of them, they don't
Yeah.
care.
It's interesting actually, at the start of that clip, Hammer does something that I've noticed. I think I've noticed it before, and certainly it comes up again, where he asks a series of questions, one after another, without waiting for any kind of response from anybody. I think that's the kind of, it's starting to get like a thing for him.
Yeah. Hammer explains that he needs to lay low, and Isadora, appearing quite taken with him, successfully persuades her father to allow this.
She does.
But he must earn his keep by performing chores.
He does. He's told to get out and milk a cow.
Yep. He's not very good at it. How does he cope?
Well, he puts the bucket under the cow and then shoots his gun and makes it milk itself.
Yep.
I'm not sure that would work.
Nah, probably not.
There's a great moment here. There's a bit of a montage, really, of him working the farm, the daughter watching on admiringly.
They're building a structure. I mean, he's still wearing his city clothes, his shirt and his sunglasses and his suit. And he's quite obviously hopeless at it. You know, you see him with the pitchfork and they're trying to put up this wooden frame for a house. It keeps falling down and he seems to be enjoying it. However, Hammer, he doesn't realise that he's not very good. He's mopping the sweat off his brow.
Feels like he's doing a hard day's work for a hard day's pay.
That's it.
At the end of the montage, he's actually using a sledgehammer.
He is.
Which is quite entertaining.
And he's not using it very well. What happens?
No, he accidentally hits Jacob in the head and knocks him out.
And what does Isadora say?
I can't remember.
I think she says, it's okay, he needed to sleep.
I think, so at this point, she's basically apologising for anything Sledge does that would be wrong.
Yeah. And we see Sledge and Isadora becoming attracted to each other during this time.
He thinks he sees her in the shower next, and there's a form in the shower that he's attracted to, and he slides up to the curtain and makes a comment.
Yeah, I think Sledge admires the beauty of her form.
It seems that way, but it's not her form.
It's not, it's Jacob's.
That's what he looks like under the jacket.
Back to the precinct for a quick scene. Sledge calls Dory, and she warns him that it's a risk making this call. What if the phones are tapped?
I think that's what Sledge is hoping for. In fact, clearly that's what Sledge is hoping for.
Well, he says, trust me, I know what I'm doing. They're not tapped.
Yes, but I think, the impression that I certainly got was that he was confident they would be tapped and he wanted to be found so he could get away from the community.
No.
You don't think so?
Not at all. Why would he could get away?
What was the point of the call then?
Because he's bumbling. He wants to know what's going on. He doesn't realise that if he's laying low, he shouldn't be making these calls and communicating.
I got the impression that he was trying to generate the showdown at the end.
I didn't read it that way at all, because firstly, he could leave at any time. Okay, so he's not being held hostage there.
That's true.
Secondly, there is an attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that attraction, thirdly, I don't think that he would want to bring the mobsters and hitmen to this family, especially with Isadora, who have helped him.
That's a good point.
I think he's just being stupid and not thinking.
It's possible. If he is, then that's a particularly stupid moment.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Dory quite literally phoning in her part in this episode.
Yeah, she's doesn't play a pivotal role, does she?
Not at all.
We immediately cut to the mob house and hear the accountant tell the Don where Sledge is, so the call has been tapped.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Godfather chucks the cat back out the window
for a second time and demands Hammer's body in a box.
And he demands that the accountant brings it to him. He's sending him himself, even though he's only an accountant.
We're back in the fields of Isadora and Jacob's farm, and she and Sledge walk together and they talk. This is again sort of contradicting myself, and I think it's just to show the difference. And she actually says this because he tells her that if she's up in the city, he can take her to some strip bars.
Yeah,
which I think is there just because of to show how different they are. I don't think it fits with Sledge's character. I do not see him at a strip bar at all.
But maybe he just doesn't socialise and he's trying to think, well, what do folk do when they go out?
Yeah, maybe, I think, yeah, no, good point. I think he is wrongly trying to play the big city type to impress her because he likes her.
Yeah. She asks him to stay.
Yeah, stay for good.
Yeah, and he's talking about no conflict, no pain, and then you get a very, what would come to be a Simpsons-esque moment, but obviously at that stage it was pre-Simpsons.
It was. So do we think, bearing in mind that we know the writers who were involved in the Sledgehammer go on to The Simpsons, do we think this was the genesis of this particular joke? Or is this an old school joke anyway, a music hall, vaudeville?
You have to think, it's been in Tom and Jerry so many times before this, for example, that it wouldn't be invented for this. But
sure.
It's always, Well, it's particularly fun to see it in live action.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good joke and it's always funny.
They stare into each other's eyes and...
We should probably have... Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. He stands on the rake and the handle comes up and hits him in the face.
Yes. And because of this, she goes to make sure he's okay, and we have a tender moment where you don't know, will they, won't they? And they do.
Oh, she pulls back at first and says she's never been I like this, she's never been with a man before in this way. And then Hammer says, neither have I.
Yeah, it was a really nice scene, I thought.
And just at that moment, the mafia guys arrive.
Yes, led by the accountant. They've got guns, and they take a shot at Sledge, who tries to return fire, but as we heard at the top of the podcast, he is out of bullets, and that doesn't seem right. Sledge would never be out of bullets.
No, I think he would be prepared for the circumstances. It also suggests that he wasn't hoping for this.
Yeah.
If he didn't have bullets in his gun.
He mentions his overnight bag, which he's lost. I think he lost when he fell out of the car.
Yeah, we didn't see them pick that up.
So he tells Jacob and Isadora to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, and at this point the accountant's looking increasingly deranged. He's losing his grip on reality.
Yeah, but because you need to remember, this isn't for the other hitmen are there to try and make some cash. His life's on the line, the accountant. If he doesn't bring Sledge back dead, then he's dead. It's him or Sledge.
It was almost Anchorman-esque, I would say, the way that the accountant behaves in this scene. It reminded me of Brick in the Anchorman when they have all the news crews start their fight.
Not watched it.
Well, folk who listen will know. Anyway, Hammer gets Jacob to take the daughter away.
Yep, I think he's reprimanded by Jacob to watch his language.
Yes, he is. And he uses a barn. He sneaks in one door and out another. And he tries to knock out a mafia guy in the traditional TV way, and it doesn't work.
No, this is quite funny because you see for a few moments now, Sledge wrestling, jumping on the back. You know, he's trying to knock him out quietly so he can pick one off one at a time.
It's not working.
It's not, and he's causing more noise and commotion than anything else, and he's struggling with this guy.
We cut away to Jacob. Is it Isadora? Isadora and Jacob finding Sledge's bag.
His overnight bag. Now, what does Sledge pack for an overnight?
Well, we know he had a bazooka, so presumably there's more along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Grenades and sunglasses. That seems to be what's in it.
Sunglasses.
Yeah, he didn't have a chance to pack his bazooka.
I thought he said he only just had time to pack his bazooka.
No, I didn't even have time, I think he says. I'm sure.
I barely had time, I'm sure he said.
In any case, what they pull out is lots of sunglasses and grenades.
Yes. How could be the bazooka was in a different bag?
No, you wouldn't have two overnight bags.
Anyway.
So the accountant and the hitmen disarm Sledge, who tells him he doesn't look like a hitman.
Right, yes.
Just as he is about to be shot, we hear some rapid fire, and the day is saved by Isadora and Jacob, who are armed to the teeth like Arnie in Commando.
Yeah, they rock up and they've got all the gear.
And Sledge says he thought that violence was against their way of life. How does Jacob reply?
I didn't write that down.
Did you not? He says, hey, it's the 80s. And Sledge sort of agrees and nods. He then demands to know from the accountant who is behind the whole thing, and he spills the beans.
He does. And we head to the Godfather's home.
The Don receives a box. The box the size of a man.
A coffin-sized box.
Yep. He opens it to find a still Hammer, who he presumes to be dead.
Also nicely packed in polystyrene.
Yeah. And Hammer welcomes him to his resurrection.
Yes, the Godfather says Sledgehammer is dead once and for all. And Hammer responds, oh yeah, welcome to my resurrection. I liked that.
Yep, and he kicks the Don out of the window. So getting...
Revenge for the cat.
Yep.
At that moment, Duro and the cops...
Not just before that.
Something happened first.
Well, the other guys, the other sort of mobsters, his henchmen, all pile in, and we get a very Batman-esque scene. Actually, I think at one point there's nearly a kapow there, and he swings around on the...
Yes, it's a bit of sort of slapstick violence.
Yeah, all that type of stuff. And then, as you say...
Duro and the cops
burst in.
And Hammer wants to claim the reward.
Yes. Now, Duro says that is required for evidence, and he says, no, I've it was me.
He's not pressing charges, so there's no crime that they need evidence for. And he disappears off with the money.
Yeah, he said he settled out of court. So, do we think Sledge will be keeping this for himself?
Well, I didn't expect he would, but I didn't know what would happen next.
Nope, the reality is he goes back to Isadora and Jacob's house, and he presents him with the reward money.
I came back to present you with this token from My gratitude.
It is not necessary. Son of a biscuit.
I have never seen so much money.
Well, what are you folks going to do with it?
We will rebuild our farmhouse, buy livestock, replant our fields, and then buy something called a Porsche.
Will I ever see you again?
Only if you make the 10 most wanted list. Kinda unlikely, right?
A couple of things from that clip. Do you think that was a little dig at religion? So it shows this very religious man, this what you would call someone in the more
Pious.
end of the spectrum, someone who is more extreme about religion than most people. But as soon as he's presented with a bit of cash, he's thinking, yep, bugger this, I'm having a Porsche.
I didn't take it as a comment on all religion.
No?
Maybe you could, I guess.
I think you wouldn't want to pick in one religion.
No, I meant on the individual as opposed to on his religion.
Yeah.
So this one guy who was corrupted, it doesn't mean that everyone who believes what he believes would have been.
No, but I think that's the whole point, isn't it? When you in TV programmes and literature and the arts, you refer to one person to make a bigger point. That's what satire is.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't take that as the point here.
It may not have been, but I'm just thinking, maybe it was.
Who knows? Well, the writer, Alan Spencer, would know.
Maybe we'll get a chance to ask him that at some point.
Maybe one day. Or maybe he'll just tweet us after he hears this.
So the second part of the clip there was a little more tender again.
Yeah.
See, I don't know why. Hammer says she'll only see him again if she makes the 10 most wanted list, which is very funny. But is it because you're thinking here that Hammer's putting his defences up, he can't get close to someone, doesn't want to, because he certainly could, there's no reason why he couldn't.
Well, I wonder if maybe he recognises that he's kind of almost unintentionally corrupted their lifestyle, and if he keeps coming back, it's going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, possibly, and I think as well that the fact is that the two lifestyles are either of them or one of them would have to change, and
completely, yeah.
I don't think either of them would be willing to do so to that extent.
No. There's one last comedy moment as Hammer drives off and knocks down their mailbox on his way out.
Yeah.
But they can afford to fix that now.
I think he also says Jacob tells Sledge to go with God and he tells them to obey the penal codes.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. And he leaves. And that's us.
There wasn't, there's a couple of moments, but there wasn't as much slapstick in this one as there had been in the first couple of episodes. It was very different.
It was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, it's my favourite episode up to this point.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I think it's generally regarded as, a very good episode. People do enjoy it. We mentioned before, there's not a lot of Trunk or Darrow in this. It's very Hammer focused.
Yeah.
But I think it benefited from it.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Because
of the fish out of water scenario. Had it been purely Hammer focused in the city, then you get more of Hammer being Hammer, and you need other people to come in and take some of the
contrast.
Yeah. But with this Hammer and that community, there was enough of a contrast for Hammer for Sledge to sort of lead on his own.
Absolutely.
Well, that's us.
Trivia.
Oh, you want some trivia? Okay.
Got any trivia? There was people in this show, right?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of trivia this week.
Excellent.
So, production information. October the 3rd, 1986 was the original air date. Now, this was directed by someone who we have discussed before.
Right.
In Columbo. See if you can remember. Jackie Cooper.
Yes, he played... I'm wanting to say it was the politician who had the bullet hidden in his wall and everything.
Can you remember the character name and the episode name?
Candidate for Crime?
Yes.
Ah, yes. Nelson...
Yes.
Almost... I can't remember his surname.
Nelson Hayward.
Yeah.
So we've discussed him before, and I've mentioned this trivia before then. So he died in 2011, aged 81. He was a child superstar, Oscar nominated at age just 9 for Skippy. And that was a record that was held for 50 years. And he won 2 Emmys. He was in The Champ, Hennessy, The People's Choice. For me, I know him as Perry White in the Superman movies, the Christopher Reeve movies.
Right.
As a director, he directed MASH, Sledgehammer Here, Cagney and Lacey, Quincy, The Rockford Files. He reached the rank of captain in the Navy, and he was interred with full honours at Arlington National Cemetery. His autobiography is called Please Don't Shoot My Dog, which was a reference to when he was playing, when he was acting in Skippy, when the director, I think, threatened to shoot his dog in order to make him cry for the scene.
Right.
So he's a very famous man. This episode was written by Alan Spencer himself.
Yep.
So we'll talk about him at another point. Guest stars: Al Ruscio played Don Philip Sousa. Died in 2013, aged 89. He was in The Godfather 3, Port Charles, Joe's Life, Life Goes On, Hill Street Blues, Matlock, Police Squad, Barney Miller, Shannon, T.J. Hooker, and an episode of
Star Trek.
Nope, Mrs. Columbo.
Oh no, no, that's bad.
Jacob. You might be surprised with this one.
Okay.
You'll know the name. Jacob was played by Louis Arquette.
Okay.
Died in 2001, aged 65. The father of Rosanna, Patricia, David, Alexis, and Richmond Arquette.
There you go.
Son of the actor Cliff Arquette. He has been in The Waltons, Dallas, Fantasy Island, Lou Grant, Tango and Cash, Scream 2, and Mrs. Columbo.
Oh dear.
Anne Ryerson played Isadora, born in 1949. She's been in lots of episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, ER, Minority Report, Friday the 13th Part 6, which I did watch the other night, and Caddyshack, and is a former member of the Second City.
There you go. That's a successful CV if I've ever heard one.
John Milford played Officer Lenny.
In the car who was
Yep.
going to shoot Hammer.
Died at 2000, aged 72. He's been in General Hospital, Spider-Woman, Enos, T.G. Hooker, Cagney and Lacey. Lots and lots of TV westerns back in the 50s and the 60s. He was in Columbo.
Right.
He was a detective in Double Exposure.
Okay, that's that the one with Robert Culp.
Yes.
Okay, in the cinema and everything.
Yep. And he is credited with the design for the original Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Very important role there.
And finally, someone who we have spoke to before.
Spoken to.
Yes, well, on social media.
Okay.
Basil Hoffman played the accountant Sam Steinway.
Of course, spoke to him on Facebook.
Born in 1938, he played Jason Danziger in the Bye Bye Sky High IQ.
On Columbo, yeah.
Yeah. He's been in lots and lots of very successful movies. I mean, The Artist, Ordinary People, All the President's Men, Hail Caesar, Seinfeld, Hill Street Blues, The Defenders. In 2008, he was the State Department's cultural envoy based in Beirut to Lebanon.
There you go.
And in more than half of his movies, either the actor or the director has won an Oscar.
That's impressive.
Very impressive. He's a great character actor who gets lots of good parts, or parts in good movies.
Yeah, clearly.
A little bit of trivia then.
Okay.
It's a big week for it this week, isn't it?
Yeah, we're enjoying our trivia.
The ASPCA, which is the American Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, protested against the cat throwing.
Right.
Obviously didn't protest hard enough.
Well, cats land on their feet, they should be fine.
Yeah, it's only
a ground floor window.
Yeah, it'd be fine. And they made up for it by throwing the Don out of the window later.
Got his comeuppance.
He did. Apparently, a sponsor of the show pulled out due to the two hitmen killing each other in the car scene.
Some people have strange ideas.
They do. Can't get away with killing a couple of hitmen anymore.
Yeah.
What's the world coming
Fictional
to?
ones as well.
Yeah. Now, Don Philip Sousa did not have an Italian name.
That's my cat. You can hear in the background. She's just heard us talking about throwing cats out the window, and she's come to make sure we're not going to do it to her.
Don Philip Sousa did not have an Italian name, so as not to stereotype the Italians with all being gangsters, I think.
It seems like this showed a lot of intervention from very, very picky and paranoid people.
You have to suggest it's a network at the time. Whoever's in charge of the network was a bit sensitive.
Yeah.
So Don Philip Sousa was named after John Philip Sousa, who's a highly successful composer for film who died in 1932, aged 77.
Right.
But he is still credited in lots of movies and TV shows to this day, including Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Simpsons, Boardwalk Empire, The A-Team. Every year he still has a credit in movies and TV shows because he uses music. He was America's premier composer of military marches, and his Liberty Bell score is Monty Python's theme tune.
There you go.
That's me. How was that for this week?
That's impressive amount of trivia this week.
So next week we've got They Shoot Hammers, Don't They?
They shoot hammers, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Who shoots hammers?
They,
By the seashore.
don't they?
Okay.
Favourite line?
I think I would go with he wants Hammer to be for the rest of his life dead.
I think I'd have to go with him saying he's never been with a man in that way.
Yeah, I think it's a nice. It's almost a play on words. To say it's playing her word, he's playing on her word. I liked it.
Yeah, good episode. I think we both enjoyed it.
Definitely.
Okay, before we wrap up, anything you want to say?
Just the usual, encouraging folk to keep in touch, subscribe, rate, review on iTunes because it helps more people find the show.
iTunes podcast app, not necessarily through iTunes store.
Yes, the iTunes, if you're on iOS, yeah.
Yep, that's the purple app.
Yep, and if you're on desktop, just the iTunes application that way. And keep in touch on social media. We're at Sledgecast, both on Twitter and on Facebook, or as proved popular during the Columbo podcast's run, if you go to the show's website, in this case sledgehammerpodcast.com, the comments on each show are open for people who listen to the show to contribute and share their views on the episodes or anything else. And until next week then, cheerio.
Bye bye.